All right, so last time after adding a background, we went ahead and we added the header as well, or at least the start of the header, and you notice that it links right here to the home page. We have our background image here. It's nice and set in there. And I wanted to cover a couple of things that we didn't touch on but are available. The first thing was being able to change the size of the header. So you notice that if you come in here, it says images of exactly 964 by 176 will be used as is. Well, what if you have a header that needs to be bigger or smaller than 964 by 176? Fortunately, our content management system will is conducive to that as well. So if you, like I said, if you go down here to HBGS settings and click that, and you click header options right here, it says header image width 964, header image height 176. Well, if you change those and then go back there, it will match the settings that you set right here. And notice there's the convenient restore default, which will set this back to 964 by 176. The other thing that I wanted to cover was the grid option. So right now, so far, we haven't had to mess with the size of the layout here. It's been pretty, it's fit pretty well into our default size here. But what if we needed to make the grid, this area here, what if we needed to make the center area here between these two pieces of tape bigger or smaller? Well, that's where we can mess with the grid. And as the name of the theme implies, HTML5 boilerplated grid system, the technologies used here are HTML5, the HTML5 boilerplate, and the CSS grid system. And one of the most popular options is the 960 grid system. And we've customized that to fit into numerous sizes. You can see those options right here. We have them by default, and developers can easily add their own grid systems in here. The only requirements are that it fits the 960 proportions and that it has 24 columns. You can see there's a 1008, 24, 1010, and these numbers are the size of the grid, the number of columns, and the left margin and the right margin. So here's the traditional 960 grid system with 24, 10, 10. Here's a 960, 24, 22, and 960, 24, 5, 5. We commonly use most often the 984, 24, 10, 10, the 960, 24, 10, 10, and the 1008, 24, 10, 10. Now, that's not to say you can't create your own grid, and it's really easy to do so. All you have to do is go to Grid System Generator. I'm just searching in Google here, and then you go to 960 Grid System Generator, and all you have to do here is make sure that the columns here are set to 24, and then you can just go ahead and generate, and it'll actually tell you if it doesn't fit. So this one works, 960, 24, 10, 10. But what if you wanted to try 980? Let's try 980. It's going to tell you your custom 960 grid system cannot be generated. Please correct the issues reported. So it says that 980 won't fit the proportions to try 960 or 984. Notice 984 is what we had in there. Notice if you type in 10008, you also should get the proper system. And then all you have to do is just go download here to download the actual source files for this. But what happens if you wanted a really big grid? Let's say 1208. It's going to say here it doesn't quite fit. Try 1200 or 1224. So let's go ahead and try 1200. So there you go, and all you would have to do is download this, and there's a file, or excuse me, there's a directory in the source code called grids, and you would just save that following the conventions that we touched on in the right here. The size of the grid followed by the number of columns, 24, and then the padding or the margin left and the margin right. Generally, the 24, 10, 10 isn't going to change, as that's pretty standard. We do change the size of the margins a little bit. We haven't built in support for other grid sizes, or for grid columns, such as the 12 grid column, although that could be coming down in the near future. And we'll touch on some of these more defaults right here with default grid content column, default content left gutter, and default content right gutter, and all these other defaults in other episodes. But I just wanted to show you right there that you can easily change which grid that a theme is going to use.